Hey everybody, it is Thursday night, which means it is time for Shop Talk. I'm Josh Olive with Haven Comics, and we're really looking forward to talking comics with you guys tonight. So stick around after this awesome intro. Now, that little 30-second timer that we have set up before we start that plays that fun little tune, I have to say, I like that tune. I've been known to dance to it a little bit. And when we play it, it automatically cuts the cameras off so you can't see us. And I wish that were not true tonight because Alan was coming back into the room as that intro video was playing, and that boy was cutting a rug. So here we go, Alan.
I've got to start out by saying this is the first weekend since Christmas that we have absolutely nothing to do. I plan on reading so much, somebody might want to swing by the house and roll me over every once in a while so I don't get bed sores. Just telling you, I'm doing nothing. I'm reading comic books. Yeah, I'm reading comic books. I'm reading novels. I'm reading manga. Manga, for those of you that know the true definition of it. I mean, back of the cereal box, I don't care. I'm reading everything.
So I got a question for you because you promised something a while back, and I haven't seen it yet. Is this weekend the weekend that we get to see it?
See what?
Your Ghost Roast coffee review.
Yes, I am hoping that Saturday morning I can sit down and I will go ahead and make a pot, and then I will review that, and I will review a comic book at the same time. We will discuss a comic. In fact, I'm going to film it Saturday morning, and it's literally going to be called Coffee and Comic.
There you go.
So we're going to review the Ghost Roast, and we're going to review a comic book at the same time. And did a Ghost Machine book come out this week? Was this Hornsby and Halo week?
I didn't see it, if it did, so I don't.
Okay.
I will say this for anybody who does not know: Ghost Machine, who publishes Geiger, Red Coat, Rook, Hyde Street, Hornsby and Halo, all these fantastic books. They have some coffee called Ghost Roast, and so if you've been wondering, we've got, I think, 2 bags of that left at the store. Come down and get you some coffee as soon as Alan tells you whether it's good or not. I got no idea. I'm not a coffee guy.
It is a medium roast. I can tell you that much. So, yep, I will be doing that this weekend. So the bad news is I have not had time to run by the shop yet to get comics. So I've got no new comic books to talk about. That's the bad news. It's just, I don't know what it was, but it was like this last week of having stuff to do. Everything just come to a head this week, and now we're back to coast mode. I did bring some stuff to talk about because we have
awesome.
we have not talked about the collection, the back stuff in a while.
Well, we've got a few other tidbits of news to talk about too.
And there was actually something that I wanted to talk to you about that I had read the other night. I thought was really interesting, but we can get to that later. It's nothing major.
All right. Well, let's start with some of the news. You guys have been following. We've been transparent about it. Certainly not trying to influence your buying habits or anything as a customer, just letting you know what's happening in the market so that you're aware when things change, when there are issues or hiccups in trying to get books that you want. Some of those hiccups here lately with Diamond declaring bankruptcy and working through that, there's been a notification that says if Diamond does not have a buyer by April 1st, then they will close down and they will have to lay off all 168 of their employees. So that would be bad news. That'd be real bad news for a lot of people. So that's not great. Hey, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, sir. But in the realm of not making it easier for them to stay afloat or to find a buyer, publishers are jumping ship left and right from Diamond. Whether that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy or not, I don't know. But Mad Cave Studios is now going to only be distributing through Lunar. Now, they've been distributing through Lunar for a while. But here's the part about this that chaps me, right? We had FOC on the 20th of the weekend of the 20th of January. That's the final order cutoff for books that typically come out about 3 weeks later. And so they announced this week that they are not going to be distributing through Diamond anymore as of last week's FOC. So orders have already been placed, and those orders will not be honored.
Oh, wow.
So we might just have a week where we miss our Mad Cave books.
So now, and I'm just going to say something random here because I don't know what was scheduled to come out through Mad Cave, but let's say
Flash Gordon number 6.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say okay then, because that was going to get me upset.
I know, that's one of them.
Do they then turn around and how do we get Flash Gordon number 6 or any other Mad Cave that's apparently not going to be honored this week because of Diamond or next week?
Oh, they would be honored if we had ordered them from Lunar instead of Diamond, but that's one of the publishers I had been getting through Diamond. I went and checked. They do have copies still available at Lunar of that particular book, so I got that one. There were a handful of other books. I don't think they're going to be a big loss if we're not able to get them, but I knew that one was going to tick you off. So the first thing I did was jumped on the Lunar page to see if they had Flash Gordon number 6 available.
Well, I do truly appreciate that because that is actually a must read for me.
I know.
I love that book. Oh, and while you were talking about that, I did go online and find us a new sound effect. Maybe this will work for when we have the news.
It's our mysterious news.
Yeah, and in other news,
yeah, not only did Mad Cave deliver that news this week, but Vault Comics also delivered that news. We don't have a lot of readers at the store for Vault Comics. There are a few, but also Fantagraphics came out with the exact same news. So just joyful times all around. To answer your question, Daniel, ever since Diamond or DC left Diamond in 2020, yes, we have had to go to different places to get comics. What we had with Diamond back in the day was they had a monopoly, right? They had all of the publishers published and distributed their comics through Diamond. And we all complained about that because that just wasn't good for the industry. But the solution has not been a solution because we went from one monopoly to 3 monopolies. Ideally, you have multiple sources to get all of the books, and that's not the case. So DC left Diamond for Lunar and briefly for Midtown Comics. They had a distribution company set up that lasted 6 months. And Lunar also now carries a handful of others. They carry Image is the other big one, but Mad Cave Studios, Fantagraphics, Oni, they have a few. But most of those publishers, until Image jumped, have been available at both Lunar and Diamond. So it was available at 2 places. And then Marvel is only available at Penguin Random House and also at, let's see, Marvel, IDW, and Dark Horse have all just been available at Penguin Random House. So we have 3 places you have to go to get the books that we used to get from one place. And that's problematic in a number of areas. One, it's 3 times the work to place an order. I used to be able to place a monthly order on Diamond's site in about 3 or 4 hours. And now it's 2 to 3 hours for 3 consecutive nights to
Oh
place the
wow.
order at all of these places. It's an extremely time consuming process. That's just placing your regular monthly order, right? Uh, then you have to deal with their different systems. For all their faults, Diamond System is designed to handle comic books for retailers, and it's very good. It's very useful. It's very easy. It's very fast. Um, PRH's system is extraordinarily slow and clunky and painful. It's like code that was written in 1993. Uh, it's so extremely painfully slow. It's awful. Um, Lunar system is somewhere in between. It's not great. It's not terrible, but all three systems are different. And then you have uh, dealing with issues like shortages and damages and things like that. Shipping, they all arrive at different times. God only knows when stuff is going to show up, where it all used to come one day. Um, so, yeah, it's long and short of it is retailers are having to do a minimum of 3 times the work for zero more benefit.
Well,
There's not another dollar that comes in because of it, not one single dollar. And so
now
it's a real difficulty. It's very challenging.
as far as Penguin Random House is concerned, with you being a retailer, can you order anything that Penguin Random House publishes or has to offer? I mean, can you order from like their book line, or can you order exclusively comic books?
That is one of the side benefits of Penguin Random House. Yes, we can order books. Anything
So
that they
like
carry, we can order.
say if there's a, I don't know, a special edition Frankenstein or something coming out,
Sure, if
you
they've
know.
got it, we can order it. If Nick needs the Wheel of Time and they have it, we could order it.
Nice. I mean, that would be, I mean, yeah, that's one nice little side benefit. But back to like Mad Cave and Vault and them for just a second. So there's obviously books that are sitting in Diamond's warehouse that are from these companies that are
They're
not going to go out.
they're probably not in Diamond's warehouse because they cut them off after FOC, and FOC is where they establish the print runs.
Oh, okay.
Then they go to print, and then they get shipped to the distributor, and then the distributor parcels them all out and ships them off to stores according to their orders and such. So those particular books had not gotten to Diamond yet, and so they put the kibosh on it and said, "Send them over here instead." And that just threw a monkey wrench in the works for everybody.
Now, does that have a negative impact on Mad Cave?
Well, they're going to lose some sales for sure
Yeah.
for that week. They'll probably lose some sales on others because, and here's another thing, and this is really chaps me, right? The publishers relay this information not to retailers, but to the consumer in general. So we have to be plugged into wherever it is they're making these announcements to other people for things that we have to order through them. So it's like, tell me, at least let me know if you think I'm going to buy your books or you would like for me to buy your books. Let me know where I have to go to get them.
Oh, okay.
It's not a big ask. It seems like something that they would think of and that would be totally reasonable. But no, they just publish it out there to places that are for consumers, not for retailers. So whether we see it or not is just kind of a, I saw it, or oh crap, I didn't see that. Thankfully, we have a retailer networks where retailers will share this stuff with other people. But there are a lot of comic book stores that are not on the Facebook forums. They're not on any of the chat sites for retailers. And so those people, God help them, they're just out of luck. How will they know? I have no idea.
So with them, with that sale being forced to happen, how does that affect, like, does that include everything Diamond? Does that include the toy line, the toy distribution, all of that?
They've already got offers for Diamond UK, which does all international distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already got an offer for Alliance Gaming distribution. Um, Diamond Select Toys is another subsidiary, a wholly owned subsidiary. Now, both Alliance and Diamond UK were not actually bankrupt. Their books are fine on both of those. Diamond proper and then Diamond Select are both underwater. Um, but yes, it affects all things Diamond.
Gotcha.
It affects all things Diamond. What's up, Nate? Good to see you, man. Um, Now, a lot of those things are exactly that. They are multi-pack comics. They would be remainders and things like that from Diamond, which one of the issues you run into there, a lot of times there will be store exclusives that end up in those 3 packs. Um, that sometimes those store exclusives got shorted or what have you to the store that ordered them and paid for them. There should be no overages of store exclusives. When they do a print run and they get overages, those are supposed to go to the store that commissioned them. So that's a problem when that happens. Nick, to answer your question, if it's something that Penguin Random House has on their shelves or in their warehouses, we can order it. So that is one of the side benefits. Is that our ability to order is not limited just to comics. We can order books and whatever else they might carry. So yeah, yeah. In a lot of ways, that's true, Nate. They did make their own bed, and this has come crumbling down around them. To mix my metaphors, but yeah, it's regardless of where the blame lies, it's very painful for the industry and it's very difficult um,
Well, I mean, when that,
for everybody.
and I mean, yes, it was found, it was put out on the internet. We have no idea if it's really and truly accurate or not. But if that list of companies that they owe money is
Oh no,
even
that's 100% accurate. That's legal documentation.
okay, well, I mean, that right there alone, that list should have told everybody there's no recovering from this.
Not necessarily. We don't know how much money that is in the grand scheme of things, right? Is that hey man, how you doing? As always, let us know if you want to come on. We'd love to talk some DC Comics with you. And other comics too. But you're like the encyclopedia of DC. I love talking to you about their books, and God, they're doing some great stuff right now. But anyway, the issue with those numbers is they are pretty eye popping, right, to us as lay people. But that may not be a huge amount of money in the grand scheme of things. That may be one quarter. That might just be the fourth quarter of 2024.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean that they're years in debt or anything. We don't know. We don't know what their operating costs normally are. We don't know what their budgets normally because they're a privately held company. None of that information is available, so we don't know.
But yeah, here's the thing about that. If that was just their first quarter or maybe fourth quarter, those are ridiculous numbers for one quarter, in my opinion.
It might be, but we just don't know. Now the bankruptcy is Chapter 11, and that's self-declared, self-asked for. I don't know what the value of if that number is right. I hadn't seen that, so that could be. That would not surprise me. That's a lot of money for Alliance Gaming. I can tell you, Alliance is more difficult to deal with than Diamond.
Okay,
and the website that works really well for comic books, for ordering and all that stuff, they have a similar system for the gaming, and it's terrible.
Okay, so now you're big into gaming, and yes, the shop does sell games and stuff. What in your mind would be fair market value for Alliance Gaming?
Oh, I have no idea. I've never paid attention to their operations and what they do. There are other gaming distributors out there. Now, the reason that we went to Alliance was kind of twofold. One, the gaming distributor that we use, Southern Hobby, just started scaling back and started carrying fewer and fewer games. So they just didn't have the games that we needed to order for people. And then two, Alliance had gotten some exclusive distribution arrangements with some manufacturers. And so if you wanted to carry games that you had to carry, you had to get with Alliance to do it. So that's what we did. But there are other gaming distribution options. There's one here in Georgia called Peach State. And so we're looking at going with those guys as an option. So there are other gaming options. So I don't know that Alliance has more value from a distribution perspective. I would think its value would be less than what Diamond proper would be, just because there are so many other options already in place who do a really good job and have the same access to discounts and things.
Yeah. Did you say you just popped up backstage?
I did, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Everybody, we have a special guest tonight on the show, Legion of Comics. What's up, man?
I've seen that look before. He's getting in trouble off to the side for being online.
No, talking to a kid without it getting loud.
How you doing, man?
Good, tired. I
believe you kind of run ragged all the time.
All the time. Yeah, I had an employee get their face bit off by a big dog, so I'm a staff member down, and we're a lot busier this time of year than we normally are. So I'm tired.
So how severe is the face thing? That sounds awful.
Well, she got bit in the face, and the next morning she was in surgery, having plastic surgery, and now she looks like Nicolas Cage. So it all worked out.
Wow.
Does she have a plan to steal the Constitution yet?
Working on it.
Okay.
No, she got bit right here, so she had a tooth mark down here, but where it got her on her top lip, it like put a large gash that went all the way through to the inside of her mouth, and the impact of the bite also broke her nose.
Oh my God! Oh my God! That
it didn't do any dental damage, did it?
No, just right there. I told her she could get like just like a small like piece of tape or like a black Band-Aid and just cover it up. It'd be perfectly fine.
Okay.
That's
moving
awesome.
on.
That's awesome. Before we jump into stuff, there's one thing I wanted to cover tonight, especially, and that is Mark Spears' Monsters #3. That came out this week. We ordered y'all. We have, I think, 17 subscribers for that book. We ordered 42 copies. We have 2 copies left on the shelf as of yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, those won't last either.
Now,
how many people did you had signed up for it for issue 1 before it came out?
Well, we had a fair number because he's local to us, right? So we probably had 10 or 11, and we ordered.
Still got to increase though, right?
Oh, he sold 11,000, just under 11,000 copies of #1.
Mm-hmm.
He sold 14,000 copies of #2, and he sold 42,000 copies of #3. That's just that doesn't happen, right? That's not how the comic book industry works these days.
No, it's kind of backwards how it normally happens.
Yes. But one of the things I wanted to point out so everybody's aware, all of us local folks, issue #3 is extremely special for one really, really big reason, because issue #3 has a tribute in the back to our lost comrade, Alex. Alex worked at Haven from pretty soon after we opened up until literally like the week that he died. Way too young. And but long before Haven, he worked at the Comic Corner, and he worked with Mark. And Mark always remembered him, and Mark always thought highly of him. If you knew Alex, you couldn't help but think highly of him. He was one of the best human beings ever. And so in the back of this issue, Mark put a tribute to Alex, and he asked Alex's best friend, Richard, and he asked me to say a little something about Alex too. So Alex, buddy, you always wanted to be in comics. You were working on it. You were drawing all the time. not the way we wanted it to be, but you
Okay,
made
well,
it.
Josh
You made it.
completely and totally froze up.
Did I?
Not on my end. Not on YouTube.
Alex froze up, or Alan, you froze up, not me.
Actually, well, we're actually getting hammered with rain right now.
Yeah, that's your connection.
Yeah.
I've got the stream open, and you're fine.
Okay. Well, so Mark Spears emailed me issue number 3 like several weeks ago, and I was trying to pull it up so I could share the screen so everybody could see the tribute to Alex, but for some reason it's not wanting to share that particular window, and I don't know why.
The storm.
Probably. I'm just going to
That's
blame the
what
storm.
it is. But Alex, you made it into comics, bud. And I scanned in that piece of art we had on the back wall in the shop that he did with the sequential page. It wasn't the normal kind of stuff that he did, because Alex was always drawing monsters, and he drew a lot of Marvel and DC characters and such. And Mark couldn't publish those in the comics, so we just had to draw. Had to pull something that Alex did a long time ago. But it looks like something out of Heavy Metal or something. This very cartoony kind of thing, but you can see the storytelling that's happening in it is great. And I did get 5 copies of the book so I could take over to Alex's mom on Saturday. I called her and let her know, and she just broke out in tears. It means a lot to her that Mark is remembering Alex and paying tribute to him that way. So really, really cool. And I just wanted to let folks know that. So take a moment for Alex, one of the best people that anybody could ever hope to meet. Great dude. So, all right.
Oh, wait a minute. It finally showed up.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Alex was the man. And that's his art right there. That's something that Alex did. He did it a long time ago. But it was a fun page of his stuff. And Alex was like constantly beating himself up about comic book art. And he was by far his own worst critic. But yeah, fun stuff, man. I'm super, super excited for that. And I'm glad that of all the issues that the sales have gone up like they have, this one, that Alex's tribute is going to be in the hands of a lot more people. And that makes me happy.
Yep. All right, Mark. So I got a question for you involving Absolute.
Sweet. Let's do this.
So what do you think the end game for the Absolute universe is on DC? Because I've got my theory.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Oh, Nick.
I'm sorry. I'm multitasking.
Did you get Vinland Saga too?
Well, Nick brought me all 5 books Monday night. We met up at the old dance cabinet.
Yeah.
And I was going to knock out Vinland Saga this weekend. So I've been wanting to check it out, and he was just like brought them. So, and for those of you that plan on going to the Huntsville Pop Culture Expo,
Comic and Pop Culture Expo, Timothy's on.
I heard something depressing that a lot of people did not know who Timothy Zahn was when it was announced.
No, Daniel Major, get out of here with that. Nope. We do not need the same thing to happen to the Absolute Universe that happened in the Ultimate Universe. They do not need to collide. They should just be separate.
Well, see, that is my theory. What is the end goal? Is Darkseid building his own Justice League to go against the Justice League Unlimited? So do we get Absolute Justice versus Justice Unlimited? There's got to be an end goal somewhere.
Does there? Why can't they just be good stories in a good universe?
Because it's comic books.
Right, and they want to sell them for decades.
They've been selling them for decades.
Not this Absolute Universe. Man, Nate Saint, get out of here. No, we do not need Absolute Guy Gardner. Holy crap.
I don't think we're ready for Absolute Guy Gardner.
one Guy Gardner is enough.
The end game for the Absolute, I don't think they even know what the end game for the Absolute universe is. We just in, what was it, this week? Yeah, just this week we finally got the first comic since the DC All-In Special that addresses Darkseid's death on the Justice League Watchtower. We just got Mr. Terrific bringing up the fact that we've been trying to look at the Alpha Earth, the Elseworld, the absolute world that finally has a name. We just now got them talking about that. So that's the third time in comics since they've talked about it. The dates all the way back to Death Metal. And so I don't know what they're going to do with it in terms of the Justice League in the main universe, but they're keeping it relevant. And ultimately and eventually, we know that it will cross over, and we know that Darkseid has his Legion of Doom from his like twisted Legion of Superheroes. You know, that's how the All-In Special ended in that 2-page splash centerfold with Darkseid having his Legion. Who knows what they'll end up doing with that? It doesn't seem like something that'll appear in the Absolute side, being that it's Booster Gold driven story, and so the team's going to have to come for Booster eventually or something. But I don't know. I know this year, before the year's over, we're going to get the first meeting of Absolute characters where someone will cross over, make an appearance in someone else's book. We don't know who yet. I hope they run it as long as possible and keep it as separate as possible.
Same here. Same here.
See, I hope that when Batman and Superman finally meet, the Absolute versions, they are not friends on any level. I hope they butt heads for a long time to come.
Yeah, it'd be cool if like Batman just looks at him and says, "Do you bleed?" Yeah, that'd be cool.
So
I don't know. I just rather enjoy them separately. If they do something like right now, I was talking about like how I'm very excited that DC's not doing a big event right now. You know, they announced like the next event. The next event is just a story that's already taking place in existing issues of or Justice League and World's Finest. You know, they're soliciting that as the next event, which it's not an event. It's just a story, you know, a crossover story. So I don't want anything to break up this momentum that DC has right now. Their universe world building is as good as it's been since 2006, right before Infinite Crisis.
Could not agree more.
Like, that was like the tightest I've seen continuity at DC. I don't really count New 52 as it's an anomaly, and but it's just too clean right now. Everything matters, and not in the sense that everything's useless, but like when Challengers of the Unknown is a book that you can pick up to get like context to the greater DCU, and they're tying it in even to Darkseid's death and stuff, like we're in a good place. We're in a really good place. They don't need to mess it up.
All right, so let's go back a little bit. Well, I think the last time that we had you on, we were talking about Absolute Power and the All-In Special. Maybe, I don't even think we talked about the All-In Special yet. But we were talking Absolute Power, and I think Alan even mentioned something about the Amazos, and that took you back to some other memory of somewhere else where things had been mentioned earlier, that kind of thing. But since then, we've had the Absolute books have hit the shelves and that sort of thing. So let's just kind of go take them one by one. What are your thoughts? I guess maybe start at the All-In Special, which was the two stories, both combining and breaking apart, right, at the same time, in a mechanically brilliant use of comic book format. That was just utterly brilliant and perfectly executed. I'm really, really pleased with that. But maybe start at the All-In Special and how that came down to the formation of the Absolute universe. And then let's talk through the Absolute books one at a time and talk through what you think of each one of those and how
kind of synopsize it.
Well, not necessarily synopsizing, but what you think about them and how they're shaking out and how much do you like, love, hate, whatever each one of them.
I think the DC All-In Special is probably one of my favorite books I've read in the last year, because I'm a sucker for, like, I use the analogy all the time, like, you know, the meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Charlie's like sitting there and he looks like he's all wired out on coffee and he's got all the red yarn connecting all the dots behind him. That's me when it comes to DC. I love connecting the dots and getting the next piece of information to put on the board and seeing what threads go through it and everything. And that DC All In Special was like the chef's kiss to pretty, I mean, it's fair to call it convoluted continuity from the past handful of years with stuff that really is just a lot of business decisions that like drove DC in the direction it was in for a while. You know, they changing hands and reducing staff and hiring on the whole big crew for future state and killing 5G. There's just a lot of change of directions that affects your in-story experience. So the DC All In Special was like the flag in the ground. That was like them drawing the line in the sand. This is where we stop playing games. We got this from here. And they did it by piggybacking on some really cool stuff. So Darkseid, them giving us the payoff of Darkseid, like finding that secret to himself, the secret of the universe, and in this vast multiverse with countless versions of every hero, there's ever only been and can only ever be one Darkseid, because he's the physical personification, manifestation of death itself in the universe. And when he learns that as these universes split up, his powers dwindled, and that little tirade he went on through hell, through heaven, just to get to the Spectre of all people, which I'm a huge Spectre fan. Like, love the guy, you know what I mean? So watching that was just fantastic. And what a great way to like create your world, you know, like the parallel to the Ultimate Universe is there, you know, they have the Maker and blah, 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 but DC gave us Darkseid, you know, like the most important villain in all of DC. And I thought that was brilliant because like he's one of those villains you can't really use all the time. You know, the more you use him, the weaker he has to get, because if he loses, he's just another loser. But he didn't lose. He won. He got exactly what he wanted. He absolutely won and created an entire world. And what a callback that it's not just any world. It's the Elseworld by name at the time that they rebrand our Elseworld comics again. So the timing is great. Like there's so much good little details like that going on. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So the creation of the Absolute World, I just thought like that's perfect. That's perfect. When you're doing something that is so similar to your competitors and your peers, what a great way to really set it as your own. You know, this is our Coke and Pepsi, you know, like, but they did a good job with the creation of it.
I thought that first of all, you're spot on, absolutely, and I agree. I have mostly been a Marvel guy my whole life. The typical Marvel guy who likes Batman, right? The rest of the DC universe, I kind of would take little bits of here and there, and bits of it just never really rang true to me. It didn't work for me. Wasn't my thing. Awesome. So it just never really worked for me. And then the past year and a half, 2 years,
2 years,
I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing I've always done. I'll try that DC book. And I was like, okay, I really liked that one. And then I would try the next. Oh, I really liked that one. And the next thing you know, man, I'm really invested, and I'm liking it. And I like the way that they use the absolute or all in special that kind of like I said, two things. It both brought together and broke apart. I liked the reformation of the Justice League, and I like this incarnation of the Justice League, where it's not just the same 7 people all the time. You have these different teams that are put together specifically for different missions. And in that regard, it's not unlike what G.I. Joe has historically been, right? You got these guys.
I like how fast they call them. You know what I mean? Like, team will form en route. Like, fire's breaking out. All right, I'm sending the Flash. I'm sending Firestorm. Star Sapphire will meet you there. And I think Swamp Thing's on the ground. Go.
Yes.
Like, you're just there. You have your card. Come when called.
I love that aspect of it. I also like, because that way I get to meet new characters or characters. There you go. I get to meet characters that I don't know very well and find out more about them. And some of the other things I liked about them is the solutions to the problems are not all, okay, let's go hit that guy. Like the bit with Star Sapphire where she had to go
Save
And
the husband with a knife wound.
yeah, and you're like, holy crap, man, this is thoughtful. This is really thoughtful. This is really
With
clever.
someone as corny as Livewire running communications for him.
Yeah. I just thought it was brilliantly done, and it gives you a different perspective on how all of those things are happening. And I am enjoying the Justice League. I can fairly say more now than I literally ever have at any other point in my life.
Now, are you reading Superman, Josh?
I have not read Superman.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and Mark, since Mark's on with us, he can back me up on this. Do not read Superman, because you will find yourself in my position sitting around going, I'm a 50-year-old grown man. Why am I emotionally invested between the relationship of Jimmy Olsen and Silver Banshee?
No.
You know you liked it. He was like,
But no, if anybody's not reading Justice League Unlimited right now, you really ought to give it a shot. Justice League Unlimited, it's the big characters that you know and love, but it's also every other real hero in DC, and they're being used smartly. They're being sent on missions where their powers will be effective, where their capabilities, the way they think, will be effective. And sometimes it's fairly obscure characters. It's not always just oh, I know who that guy is, and I know who that guy is. And sometimes they'll take a character like Plastic Man, who has always irritated the ever-loving heck out of me. I didn't like him as a kid when he was on cartoons. There you go.
Just got a first Silver Age appearance in.
And a 7-0,
Nice.
man, that ain't bad.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's one change that is going to come to Unlimited that I'm not looking forward to. I do not want Red Tornado to get his body back. I like this.
Dude, what?
I like this version of
You're
Red
a
Tornado.
sick man, Alan. Sick man.
So I can't help it. I like this version of Red Tornado that is essentially the Watchtower.
Stuck in there.
It's stuck. Yeah, he's stuck in there, but I mean, he's calling the shots on a different level, and I like what they've done with him right now.
It's kind of like I really loved the character of Oracle, but I don't want to deny her being Batgirl too, right?
Yeah.
It's similar in that regard.
Yeah, you can give him his body back and just let him stay up there. I mean, I can't think of how many times like in life I've ever been out doing anything and thought, man, this would be a lot better with a tornado. So they can just leave him there. He's useful. Leave him up there.
Buddy, your place on the mission is to stay here.
Exactly. If y'all need a tornado, I'll be there. Let me know. Like,
if we have to go to Kansas, we'll call you.
We're good, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I really love what they're doing. And this comes from a guy who, again, mostly a Marvel guy my whole life. But Justice League Unlimited is hitting all the buttons. Mark Waid is killing it. The artwork is great.
Are you reading like any of the extension to the universe right now? Because not only is the Watchtower, like, dude, again, the thought that's gone into this. Just think of the way that the Watchtower is designed. You have this satellite with these wings off of it, and you know the Titans will have their little wing, even though they're terrible right now. The JSA will have their little wing, despite having the brownstone. You know, the Atom Project has its wing. You know, the Question has her wing for her security detail team. The Challengers have their wing. These things just spread out from the center core of the Watchtower, and that's the exact format of current DC Comics. You have Justice League Unlimited, which is the backbone of the current DC continuity. From the Justice League Unlimited formation, from issue 1 of that, it's branched off to the Question having a series investigating,
which I really am enjoying, by the way.
Yeah, investigating who's attacking the Watchtower and trying to break through the firewalls. Also, someone's coming after one of the Challengers. Then you have the Challengers of the Unknown, which are pretty much the Watchtower personnel. But if you know anything about their Silver Age history, like they came together from a shared near-death experience. Well, something's going on with them right now, and they're investigating what's called D anomalies. D short for dark side. They're being affected strangely by these things, so they've gone out to go separate to see what they are. And because they were all drawn together from the shared near-death experience, and dark side is in a questionable state of existence, it's rippling effect through DC. it's affecting them due to their run-in with death. Since now death is off. Something is off with death itself in the DC. I'm like, that is freaking brilliant. Freaking brilliant. Making the challengers relevant to that event, like the ripple effect. You have Aquaman.
Which I love the first issue of Aquaman. And I think I've always liked the concept of Aquaman, and I've never liked the execution. I love him with Mira's powers. I think that works.
Yeah, giving him some water powers makes sense.
As far as her powers is concerned, or him having her powers is concerned, you had that one scene in Aquaman 1 where he's sitting on the throne. He's obviously bored listening to all the politics going on in Atlantis. And then you have that water kaiju that attacks. Do you think on some level that could be like his subconscious activating the powers and giving him something to do and he doesn't even realize it? Because to me, that would be really cool because it then puts him in a situation to where the enemy is actually himself and he's got to get it all under control.
Yeah, I would say that would have been a feasible theory and something fun to explore, but I think the story's going elsewhere, very much so elsewhere, because we're dealing with the Pearl for one, and for two, the events of Justice League Unlimited #3 places not just a water kaiju, but a kaiju attack where they actually state in that book, where the hell is Aquaman? This is like the 5th kaiju attack that's come up. So it's been a reoccurring thing with different types of kaiju. So it's not limited just to water-based.
Now,
I think they fed us that one just so that they can give us, the reader, more time to experience him with the new ability post absolute power. But that would have been a cool theory.
Now,
well, then the way that Aquaman #1 ended,
amazingly,
I like
through the Stargate, shaped like the Omega symbol.
I like so many things about that. Right?
Yeah, does that mean he's going to be the first one to encounter Darkseid, or a version of Darkseid?
I don't know, man. Did it take him to the absolute world? What did it do? We don't know. Issue 2 needs to get here soon enough. Dude, I hyped that book up so much. Like, I'm an Aquaman fan. Like, Ocean Master there. This is riddled with Aquaman stuff. Across the top, there's him on Storm, all kinds of stuff. I got this when I was in kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I remember those old superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that when I was in kindergarten. But I've been waiting on an Aquaman book for years, reading these goofy little team-up books and random appearances and stuff. But when they put Jeremy Adams on it, I'm like, oh, it's go time.
I'm going to be honest with you. One of the reasons that I wanted to give that book a shot was because you had talked about Jeremy Adams before. And I was like, dude, if Mark is going to be hyping that dude up, I trust Mark's opinion. I'm going to give it a shot. And I really was hoping I wasn't going to like it. And darn you, darn him.
He's this generation's Jeff Johns. Look at what he's done so far. So looking at it in reverse order, he's currently on Aquaman. Jeff Johns ran Aquaman. And then before that, he's currently on Green Lantern. Jeff Johns' most famous work at DC Comics, Green Lantern. Before that, Jeremy Adams did The Flash. Jeff Johns did Flash Rebirth and brought Barry Allen back. And Jeremy Adams got his start in mainstream continuity DC doing Flashpoint Beyond. Flashpoint, written by Jeff Johns. Flashpoint Beyond, co-written by Jeff Johns, Jeremy Adams, and Tim Sheridan. So he's literally on the Jeff Johns track, and his knowledge of DC history and his love for these characters shows through. He's not writing himself as these characters. He's writing these characters in this world that he loves. He loves these characters in this world so much that he's getting to move them through it and watch the stories play out that he hopes that everyone will enjoy as much as him. Follow him on social media. He's a big kid. He gets excited and goofy opening up toys and stuff just like the rest of us do. He's one of us, as Nick would say.
You want to know what I just heard, Alan? I heard that he might come on the show if we talk to him. If we reach out to him, we might be able to get him on there.
I've hung out with him on a couple of streams, had him on a few times. And John Tim's on the art. What a treat.
Oh,
what
phenomenal.
A freaking treat. He draws superheroes, my dude. He's not drawing some weird modern day anime looking digital art. No, he draws superheroes.
Yep.
Square jawed, jacked superheroes.
The only beef I had with the art was there were a couple panels, this one particular panel where he comes flying up and he's flying right at you out of the water. And yeah, but he doesn't. The only beef I had was that's amazing art, but he just doesn't look like he's wet. He doesn't look like he just came out of water at
Yeah, I like
all.
my dudes wet too.
Yeah, you know. That's like he just doesn't look like he just came flying up out of the water. He's so crisp and perfectly coiffed and dry. I was like, that doesn't.
Part of the superpowers.
That's weird, but I guess he can control the water, so he does that.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like,
the intro to that was just so freaking good. And it was another one of those times where the writer's aware that there's a fan base that has been waiting on this book. They've been waiting for Aquaman to have a title again. And when that plane's coming down and the Coast Guard's like calling in, we need help at this, and then they see him fly out of the water. Cancel it all. We're good.
Yep.
I'm like,
and then I liked the way Mara just showed up behind him, like talking him through it. I thought that was great. I mean, that
hero
whole book
was
was it was good, great from beginning to end.
it really was. We didn't order real heavy on that book. We had no interest in it from our subscribers, but we sold out. And we ordered a couple more, and we sold out of those. So
yo, when the week it came out, because I hyped the hell out of it on everything that I was popping up on for weeks leading into it, like from the second it was announced, and then beyond my reach of people that watch my stuff or hang out on streams with, I was seeing it all over social media. Everyone that had just tried it, picked it up for whatever reason, like, wow, that was solid, that was good. A lot of people liked it. It did really well. It was the number 3 selling book the week it released. Absolute Batman was number 1. I forget what number 2 is.
And see, I was the same way. I didn't sign up for it. It was one of those, I'll just grab it off the shelf when it come in. I grabbed it, loved it, so now I got to sign up for it.
Yep, you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about what's going on with Green Arrow? Because I hate that we've lost Josh Williamson off of Green Arrow.
There's a sketch cover for the new number 1.
Sweet.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I mean, I am liking.
You'll appreciate this, Mark. I hadn't thought of it before. I mean, I've thought of it, but I never thought to tell anybody. On my dog Rosie, on the back of her head, she's mostly coonhound. On the back of her head is Aquaman symbol.
No, that's awesome.
It's just longer on one side than the other, but it's Aquaman symbol is on the back of her head, and every time I see it, I'm like, "You go, Aquaman." It's on the back of her head. That's what
really
she can
cool.
do about it. But before we jump into anything else, so we talked about Justice League and how all that played out and how that spawned out of Absolute or All In Special. Now let's hit the Absolute books.
Real quick, before you do those spin-offs from Justice League, Atom Project.
Yes,
That's
I have that in my pile, but I haven't read it yet.
Wait, number 2's coming soon, so you got time to read number 1. But after that, what they're up to with Plastic Man going to visit Phantom Girl and all that. And you read Justice League number 3 already, right?
I did, and that's what I was saying earlier. How Plastic Man came up. Like they took a character I like who actively irritates me.
He's awesome.
I loved him in that book.
It was the emotional beat of the book.
It was.
And if you're like the history on that is like he was on a team with her, that was from the Legion of Superheroes, Phantom Girl, but they were on the Terrifics together. Plastic Man, Phantom Girl, Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific. So that history. And that was like the first time they've really acknowledged their friendship, their bond, whatever, since that run. And then just for it to fade away like that was pretty sad. It was well done. Plastic Man can't ever get a win.
He was crushed. We've got a Plastic Man comic at the shop.
Plastic Man No More.
I don't remember which book it was, but it's an old book with a guy on it called The Claw, and he's a Nazi.
Is it like an old school Plastic Man book or Silver Age Plastic Man?
I think it's Silver Age, but it might be older. I don't remember. I just remember the cover. It's like there's the gondola of a cable car, and on the roof of it is The Claw, and Plastic Man is coming around. Yeah, it's a funny one. I'll have to take a picture of it and show it to you. It's just one of those you see it and you're like, that's a comic book for sure right there. But So, Absolute Batman, I'll just confess to you right now, even the first few promo pages and stuff I saw of it, um, I thought it was going to be stupid. I absolutely thought it was going to be dumb. Uh, he's so humongous. He looks like Bane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is he jacked up on Venom? What's going on? Because he just
Bat
looks like,
Reacher.
yeah, he just looks right. Bat Reacher. That's exactly what he looks like. And I'm like, that ain't Batman. That's weird. I don't know what that is.
But it's also the point of what we're doing here, though.
Well, right. But then I'm thinking, like, okay, this symbol on his chest turns out to be the head of an axe. Stupid. That is utterly stupid.
But then when you see how they portrayed it,
yeah, his ears, he takes them off and throws them at people. Oh, come on! I loved it.
Every bit of it.
There was some element to it that felt like if the Silver Age got just like yoinked into today, that's how they would write them. And then in the second issue, when he like breaks the glass in the aquarium, and they're all like, "Whoa, we're all wet. What's going to happen?" And he's like throws things.
Them all.
Well, he turns it into hydrochloric acid.
Oh, okay.
And he burns them, so they're all like their fingers are like, "Oh, my feet, my fingers," and their fingers are burning off and all kind of stuff. You're like, that is brutal. That is just brutal.
Thought when he shot Alfred in the face with the non-lethal, that was brutal.
I love Absolute Alfred. Absolute Alfred is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess talk about, if you would, those books, the Absolute books, maybe in the order they came out, and what your thoughts are on the books, whether you like them. Don't necessarily have to synopsize them or anything, but what are your thoughts? Do you like it, love it, hate it, whatever? Yeah. Love to hear your take.
I loved Absolute Batman 1. The shock and awe value of it, just the things that you mentioned, was just fantastic. Nick Dragotta's art is not very traditional.
No,
kind of surprised at the art choices that they have for Batman and Wonder Woman, but it was fine in terms of like the reading experience. The shock and awe of just finally getting into the Absolute universe was fantastic. Absolute Wonder Woman came out next, and that one absolutely shocked me. It was amazing. The storytelling, the way that it paired with the art so well, the dualistic storytelling on in Hell versus in Gateway City, I thought that was pretty good. They gave us a lot of information with the origin, and they teased us a lot with the Wonder Woman new power sets, which I thought was great. And it really had that cinematic feel to it, where like it kind of ends with her facing down, the parademon looking thing, the giant whatever, and pulling out the lasso for the first time, saying, "If you won't yield, I'll do what I must. Bring it," kind of thing. And I was so ready for the next issue. It was just shockingly good. Then Superman dropped, and Rafael Sandoval's art. Now that's what I'm talking about. Like that book got the treatment. Like when it comes to art, I was super duper invested in wanting to know what's going to be different about it. And I felt like we had the most divergence in that one compared to the other ones. This Superman is more different than the regular Superman than all the other ones. And some of those details are really small, but I was ready for more. So after the first round, Wonder Woman took the top spot. It was my favorite one. And then by the time, same thing kind of happened with the next issues, but Batman, I lost favor real fast with it. I'm like, it's not bad, but it's just shock and awe. It's just there to like make you think, whoa, that giant dump truck Batmobile just drove out of that building. Cool. But here's me who overreads everything. Like I read everything one time and that's it. But my brain just picks up on everything. I'm like, Alfred and Batman just jumped down an elevator shaft into this room, and then next thing you know, he just hits a gas pedal, and they're driving a giant dump truck out of the side of the building. How the hell did Alfred even not know he just went into this giant dump? Like, he's a super spy. Like, stuff like that I'm like, come on, that's just lazy writing. But I get it. It's just shock and awe. The Wonder Woman stuff proceeded to every issue get so much better. The twist with her arm blew my mind. The introduction of Etta Candy and everything was great in that most recent issue. But Superman took the cake when they dropped issue 3, and we got to see like the proper like setup before leaving Krypton, with his mom going to get his dad, with him firing up the Kryptonian dust capes, crypto wrecking people. Like we have the same old farm boy, but he's a farm boy from Krypton, not a farm boy from Kansas. Like that's a crazy difference. That twist at the end with the old woman in the nursing home, and it says Ma Kent or M Kent on it. Like that's probably Laura. Like how many Kryptonians made it to Earth? There's so much I'm excited about with that book. I think it's playing it right, and it just makes Batman feel shallow to me with how much story and character stuff is in the Wonder Woman and the Batman one. And I think Nick's art is really hurting it. Not necessarily his art style, but his panel layouts. Because in issue 3, everyone's waiting. How's this giant dump truck going to get away from these police? And we get the chase scene, and it turns into a transformer basically. And like, but they do it in these small 3 little bitty panels in the middle of your page where you don't get to feel like the moment, you know? So he has panel layout issues that take away a lot of like the stuff that would be cool to a lot of readers if they would give it the time of page. But little stuff like that, I don't know why it bothers me. So if you're making your book all just for show, you got to show us, you know?
Okay, for me, I really liked Absolute Batman 1. I liked the second one. The ending was like, how is the Batmobile a giant construction vehicle with a staircase going up the front of it? It's that big.
See, I liked that. I thought that was cool.
Then it turns, like you said, it turns into a transformer and shrinks in size, which is not physically possible. I don't get it. That made no sense to me, and I did not care for that.
No,
I liked other aspects of the book.
Showed us.
I liked other aspects of the book. I liked his weird friendships with the people that we know, right? His rogues gallery. Interested to see more of Absolute Selena Kyle. Absolutely want to see more of that. So that one's good for me. Absolute Superman was the one I was expecting to like the least, and it's my favorite by far. I think it's brilliant. I think it looks amazing. I think the writing is great. I like the differences, the fundamental differences in the character. The one that you are most hyped about is the one I'm having the most trouble with. I can't get behind Absolute Wonder Woman. It's just weird to me, and I don't like the art. I can't stand it. I love his art on Dark Patterns, the Batman book. I think it works well for that. I don't think it works well for Wonder Woman, and that may partially be because I am so absolutely totally loving the Tom King Wonder Woman book. And Daniel Sampier is like made some kind of a deal with the devil. His artwork is phenomenal, and that's what Wonder Woman should look like. And I would probably be more interested in the book if the art wasn't such a turnoff, but the art just does not work for me. And the story hasn't been able to grab me. I mean, like when your solution is I'm going to stab you with this sword, and then I'm just going to make the sword mega huge, the size of a 747. Like, that's not interesting to me.
That was a little corny. But the arm thing was really what sold the issue for me.
I thought the arm thing was a nice touch. I agree, but I didn't.
And I think that's where the art was stronger too. Like it's weird that art. Like I said, like what's that Joker's name? Hayden Sherman. Yeah, I don't understand how Nick Dragotta and Hayden Sherman got put on like DC's biggest book launches of the year. I don't understand it whatsoever. But there's little details, or there's certain aspects of that Wonder Woman book that are just next level with the art, like the style. Like look at the Hephaestus arm that she was wearing after her arm. She sacrificed her arm. Like that Hephaestus arm has like these little geared looking things to it. Look at Edda's shop. Look at the inside of the Tetracide when she cuts it in half. Like the amount of fine line work and details, it is next level. But then their faces are really plain, like super plain. And it reminds me of Allred in a sense. It doesn't look like Mike Allred's art, but it reminds me of the simplistic nature of it in a sense.
And Michael Allred's art has always bothered me. I don't like it.
Yeah, but that, dude, I love it. But I wouldn't want it on just any specific thing. I like that he gets his own projects. Like he's the Batman 66 or Superman Space Age, Batman Dark Age. They're kind of they're designated as all red books. You know what I mean? They're not
right.
in continuity for the most part. But some of those faces look spot freaking on for those like kind of stoic, quiet moments and stuff when she's staring down like oblivion on. She's standing on the beachhead looking across the bay at this Tetraside, and she's like, you get a sense of that, but then like 80% of the faces are just there, you know. But every now and then it hits, and it gives me a love-hate. I don't think it's like I said, it blows my mind that they hired this person for this task, but here we are. And I'm always gonna be a story first person, and I think the story is beautiful. Tom King's Wonder Woman put me over on Wonder Woman. I'm here for Wonder Woman. If they're gonna write it, I'll check it out. And this is really scratching an itch too. And like with how different it is, like that backstory where like that essence of Wonder Woman is so there. Like even in issue 4, when Circe goes out and she's talking to her goddess, you know, that talks about this great calamity that's to come, and you're here for a reason. And I hate you're going through it, but I'd put you here 1,000 times and sacrifice myself to have you here, knowing that you'll be needed down the road. And she goes back into her little cave, and Diana, little like 12-year-old Diana, sleeping in the bed, and all these demons and things are just cuddled up around her, just smiling because they want to be near her because of her essence and stuff. And little stuff like that is just like, I like that a lot. There's so much little story in those pages.
See, that's the stuff that's taking place in hell and those things. That has been interesting to me. The Tetraside, like, ooh, a giant kaiju. Whoop-de-doodles. It's another one.
I love me some kaiju, my dude.
I like them too, but it wasn't a compelling villain. It wasn't a compelling obstacle for her that made me interested. It was just another thing she was going to go and beat up.
It was a plot device to introduce us to the character when it all comes down to it. What did it do? It served us to let us know that she has magic in this world, that sack she carries all kinds of goodies in it. Her arm is not really her arm. Those tattoos are there because they're a spell. She has the arm of Hephaestus if she loses it. Steve Trevor exists in here. He's died and been resurrected, and everyone who knows him thinks he's like, treat him like a pariah because they don't understand the concept of it. It introduced us to Barbara, that she's running around as a reporter. We got Edita Candy actually deals with witchcraftery in this universe. So all it did was bring us into the world and give us all the details and differences. It was a play setter. Your first story arc, you know, that's what they did, but they just gave us something fun. This is the most elementary and basic Wonder Woman villains you can get, mythological monsters, right? And they gave us they gave us the true plot point in this issue 4 when Hecate came to talk to Circe and said the great calamity or whatever is coming, and I need you here to train to be with this girl in hell. So we know that's what they're working toward. We've finally been given the first little nugget of the story to come, the real first struggle. Till then, you're just going to see her like, you know, the little trials kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you from our subscriber numbers, just as an anecdotal data point, that's too little too late.
Mm-hmm.
Buried in issue 4 is not a good place for that.
Well, how many people are going to pick up on that? That's just me being over analytical. Who knows if that's the case or not?
I find your analysis is usually pretty spot on. I'm just going to say nobody has a 1,000% track record, but you're pretty spot on.
Yeah. Why would they say it otherwise? You know.
Yeah. But for me, that one's the one I have the hardest time with. I haven't seen anything that poses like a real intellectual challenge to her yet. I haven't seen anything that really makes me interested. And I hate it, but the story just has not grabbed me, and the art is definitely not what I want to see for Wonder Woman.
And that's because, and I talked about this in a review where like there's countless comic book people that go to work, earn a paycheck, and sacrifice a percentage of that on comic books. And out of those people that do that, there's a significant percentage of those people that art is make it or break it for them. They love to read, but if the art is something they can't stand, they'll just put it down, no matter how good the story is. And
Well,
that's
it's a
fair.
visual medium, right? It's like in a
Yeah.
movie. If a shaky cam style of movie
Gives you motion sickness, don't expect me to watch it.
you're not going to sit and watch a shaky cam movie. Doesn't matter how good the story is, you can't look at it.
But see, my thing is, as long as the art fits the story, that's what I'm looking at. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a dog in this fight because I've got all 3 issues of Absolute Wonder Woman at home. I just haven't been able to read them yet. Or then I've probably got 4. Number 4 might be in my box. But okay, so take the Department of Truth by Image Comics, for example. I absolutely loathe that art style.
Simmons,
I think it's the worst art style ever.
Martin Simmons.
Yeah, it fits the story that they're telling.
So well, I was thinking that as soon as you said fits the story, and countless people dropped that because of that. Now it took me trudging through it for a while, and now I can't picture it any other way.
Yep. And
but how many other people are like doing like distorted reality conspiracy books where that is like literally the perfect artist for it?
Yeah, and I think the big problem with Absolute Wonder Woman is not the book itself, it's the fans. And the reason why I say that is Tom King and company have spoiled us with the current Wonder Woman run.
You say that, but he has his detractors too. Like Tom King himself, the name, period. No matter how good, bad, or indifferent the story actually is, he comes with an army of haters for some reason. But when you draw that big of an audience, that's just going to be the case. And the haters are freaking hilarious because his writing is some of the best structured, delivered, executed writing that you will find in our medium. Whether you like the story he tells, whether you are offended by a decision he made, that's what he's doing on purpose. He's moving the readers. Not all of them, he's going to make some of you mad. People beg for stakes in comic books. Well, Tom King put some stakes in the comic book, and everyone got pissed off about it. Not everyone. I teared up. The issue about broke me.
Issue 14, where she's just her issue of grief. Like, oh my God.
Yes.
Alan's sitting here like, man, I got allergies, man. This
yeah, and it comes out. What's crazy is it comes out the same week Jenny Sparks drops.
Yep.
And Jenny Sparks dropped, and I read it. I was at the shop, and Lunar shows up like on a Thursday. So I was sitting there and I read Jenny Sparks. I'm like, oh my God. So I message my partner in crime, Sector 2815. I'm like, oh my God, I just read Jenny Sparks. I bet it's going to be the book of the week. I put it down. I pull Wonder Woman out of the box. I read it. And when I'm done drying my eyes, I messaged him and said, I was wrong. Wonder Woman is the book of the week. Nothing's going to top that. So it's funny watching these people that try to like trash the book. I heard one person was mad. Like, and most of the time, their analysis of the book is like it's clearly above their reading level, and that sounds terrible.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's an egotistical thing to say, but it's legitimate. Like it's above people's reading level in a lot of situations. Because in 2 issues ago, when Detective Chimp harassed the Sovereign, the good guys know who the Sovereign is and what he's up to. They have Wonder Woman dealing with it. But to take down this guy, we have to take him down by the book of the law. We need this guy have the book thrown at him, not just us getting him. We need him dismantled. And when Detective Chimp did that and Clark Kent shows up at the end, they're like, I'm dropping this book. Why would this bad guy just talk to a reporter? I'm like, he didn't talk to a reporter. What are you talking about? Well, in the backup story, Jimmy Olsen did a whole report and explaining who the Sovereign is, and Clark Kent went there. I'm like, Clark didn't get the information from him. Read the damn book. Jimmy says in that backup story that, now why would you believe us? Well, friend of the blah, 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 Clark Kent said that his source, and he names main universe Cersei, who, if you read the book, you know that she went after Detective Chimp, but he brought his best friend along, the Spectre, who ripped her ass up and went and tortured her till she confessed everything. So she was source number 1. And then source number 2 was they uncovered the Sovereign's sister. So the sources of Jimmy's whole thing was Cersei and the sister. But this guy's whole critique of the book was that the Sovereign told a reporter his evil plan. I'm like, that never happened in the book. And there's 2 occasions. There's an entire 2 pages explaining the source of the story, and you just overlook that. And they legitimately, like, I even was conversing with them in a chat. They couldn't connect it. Clark showed up. He told him, like, no, and he even shot his butler. For going to the door.
To address you, Matt Posey, I have not been by the shop yet this week, but I do have something that, if you're interested, since we were talking about monsters this week, I brought it along.
Oh, snap.
The complete illustrated work of Bram Stoker's Dracula by George Bess.
That is a phenomenal book.
It is absolutely fantastic. The art is great all the way through. Actually, my favorite is on the very back cover, and it is a hardback, and it is the textbook definition of a coffee table book. So I'll sell you that for this week. You're not getting this copy, though. You need to talk to Josh about ordering your own.
He wants that copy. You should give him that copy.
Yeah, that's
Negative.
what he wants. Negatory Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Well, see, I think people are still butthurt with Tom King over the whole Batman.
They
Catwoman
absolutely
thing.
are. That comes up every time somebody complains about
And
that.
see, to me,
Heroes in Crisis.
And see, my thing about that is, I thought the whole thing between Batman and Catwoman not getting married was perfect.
Wasn't Tom's decision. Editorial stepped in
Not
and pulled
at
the plug
all.
on it.
I know, but to me, I think.
So what did Tom do? Eventually, he gave us the Batman Catwoman 12-issue maxi series where he finished the story. Not only did they get married, you got the whole how their life would play out. Brought in the phantasm, fan service, phantasm. Let's go. It was wild.
I thought it was great, and I mean, Tom
King
Batman Killing Time. I loved Killing Time.
Holy potatoes,
Jesus!
Dude, what a reveal, right? Like, only 8 issues, and the whole time we're reading this, and I'm like, God, my brain's hurting from clocking in the time. Every 4 panels are telling us what time it is and what event's happening, what time it is, what event's happening, just to make us all feel stupid when they drop issue 7 and the freaking narrator is the Clock King. Like, what? That was so freaking brilliant.
And the Help had to be one of the best characters that we've seen introduced in a long time.
Yeah. They brought him back for the Penguin series. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, Batman Killing Time by Tom King. There you go, Matt Posey. You need to order that. That's the trade you need to order right there. That thing is perfect from beginning to end. But then it was, as soon as he was announced for Wonder Woman, it was like, oh, okay, what's he going to give me now?
Well, so I sat on a retailer roundtable with him before Wonder Woman #1 came out. And I was going into it like, people have been so mad at him, and I just don't know how this book is going to sell, right? And then I saw he kind of walked through some of the initial plot points and some of the overarching things that he wanted to do, and then he flashed Daniel Sampier's art up on the screen. I was like, both of these things that you have shown me have sold me on this book. So I ordered it, and I ordered pretty big for a store our size, and it has sold very well. We've got it's dropped a little bit, but we've got good numbers for Wonder Woman, and people are picking it up and they're reading it, which I think is the important thing, not just collecting the covers. But this whole story arc that's about to wrap up now, where she's getting her revenge on the Sovereign. Holy smokes, is that amazing. And I love the way she's doing it, because she's being really strategic. She's not just she's not just going in and like, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you. She's hurting him where it really hurts. She's taking away everything that means something to him. She's taking away his money. She's taking away his influence. She's taking away his power. She's taking away his dignity. And when she's done with that, she's taking away his freedom. And it's so good the way that she's doing it. And the way that she has integrated all these other characters to help her do that Uh, and you talked about it the other day, where she was sitting on the throne, and you just kept getting that flashback to her on the throne. 9 little princesses, 8 little princesses, counting down, while all these other characters are out there taking care of their task in bringing down the sovereign.
Yeah,
Man, it was
my only
brilliant.
thing was it was just something about issue 17. Maybe I went into it thinking that we were going to get some big climactic battle, and that's just solely my fault. But I just was not that big on issue 17. I was like turning every page waiting for the big fight, and it just never came.
Well, what's a big fight going to look like with him? He's just an old man.
That we know of.
Yeah, we have no reason to think he's anything else.
I don't know. To me, there's got to be something else there, especially because we had the lasso of lies. We've got the lasso of truth. What was the third lasso? There is a third lasso because that's ultimately where the name Trinity is going to come from. So he's got to be able to fight Wonder Woman on some level other than just having his henchmen go after.
I don't know. Can Lex Luthor fight Superman without the battle suit? And is the battle suit even a fight against Superman?
Well, what do you think about? Okay, not trying to change subjects. What do you think about what they're doing with Lex Luthor and Superman?
You're changing subjects.
Well, I said not trying to change subjects, but
that's like saying no offense, but your mama's ugly.
Yeah, well, I mean,
dude, just because you said no offense doesn't get you out of it.
Josh.
Oh, I know. I'm taking notes right now, so we can do that.
I saw them for you. No, I mean it's there. I think there's just got to be something more between Wonder Woman and Sovereign. Even if it is just the classic, at the end of it all, they sit down and play chess against each other. I don't know.
Actually, that's an ending I would like to see.
Yeah, I think cool. There's got to be a face-to-face ending with those two.
Well, keep in mind, the whole story is being told with him behind bars to Trinity, a grown Trinity.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and as bad as it sounds, I really hope we get back to those stories of Damian and Jonathan babysitting Trinity because I thought those things were hysterical.
Yeah, Tom said he enjoys writing those the most out of this time on Wonder Woman.
Well, his daughter is enjoying those. Well, that's true. That's true. Matt, I don't know if you heard this, but one of the things that we're thinking about doing during the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo this year is everybody walk away from the Haven booth and just leave Alan and Dustin Ellis in charge to see how that hour or two goes. Like, how much money are they going to rake in just from harassing people as they walk past?
Dustin should be all right at it.
Oh, Dustin and I get in there last year.
That was the funniest.
This guy come walking up to the booth last year, and we watched Dustin. This was at a different con, but we watched him completely and totally bait this guy in. It was hysterical. The guy tried to talk him down. Dustin's talking him up. We're rolling. But then at the Pop Culture Expo, we had this guy just show up and start taking pictures of different books. And I finally just spun on him and said, hey, if you just buy it, you don't have to take pictures of it. So, yeah, we have a lot of fun talking smack to the people.
Well, the funny thing with that Dustin story, though, was Dustin's just hammering this guy, and not in a bad way, but it was clear the guy really wanted to buy the book. And the guy he admitted that, this or that or the other. And Dustin's like, what was it he said?
We got him on the rope, boys.
Looks like we got him on the ropes now, boys. it was very funny. But yeah, putting Alan and Dustin, I think just having them compete to see who can outsell the other would be hysterical.
Josh
You should
turned
do
around
it.
last year, and I mean, he's talking to customers, and I mean, he's running all over the place, turns around, and I am laid out halfway across the booth. And this guy and I have out our cell phones showing off our G.I. Joe collections to each other.
Yes.
That's one way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it works. So the big question everybody's looking at is we have upcoming Absolute Flash, okay. Absolute Green Lantern, all right. Absolute Martian Manhunter?
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a very strange choice.
Is it though?
Well, I realize that what they're doing is building the Absolute Justice League, obviously.
Maybe.
I mean, that's what that is. Come on, you know.
I don't know. The Green Lantern, it's three Green Lanterns. It's Joe Mullen, John Stewart, and Hal Jordan all sharing a book with a horror vibe. So I don't know if they are not. Martian Manhunter, he is the heart and soul of the Justice League. He's been around since the first appearance of the Justice League. Made his first appearance in Superman comics to begin with. He's a staple to the DC comics, and he's not present in DC comics except for a brief freak out in Justice League Unlimited. So it's a good way to give him some spotlight if you don't have page room over there. And you know, it's an Aquaman situation. People have been like, "Where's John? Where's Martian Manhunter? Where's he at?"
So in this Ultimate, we don't have a lot to go off of for how the Ultimate Martian Manhunter book is going to shake out. Like, what's it going to be? That cover,
he's possessed.
Yeah, the cover is interesting, and I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah, instead of a Martian that shapeshifts to a human, it's a possessed person with an entity inside of him.
Yeah, see that's what that looks like on the cover, and that's what I'm hoping for, because that makes more sense to me.
It'd be cool
in the context of a universe that works like that.
My only head scratching complaint is what's up with Flash's costume.
I was going to ask you about that.
My dude sporting a crop top through hyper time. What's he doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, a crop top with a collar that stands up here like this. I was just picturing earlier, like he starts to run and that goes.
You can't clock Mach 5 with your midriff hanging out. I don't know what he's doing.
He's gonna have a hard time.
I like that his hair's out. The Clayton Crane cover looks okay. The Jeff Lemire sketches look awful. There's a lot of covers that are starting to pop up, and it just makes him look ridiculous. His rogues look fantastic. The interior pages look good. It's just the suit design. I'm like, come on, guys. This quite literally is the worst Flash suit of all the eras, of all the universes, of all the everythings. I don't understand.
It's pretty bad. It's kind of like
somebody bomber jacket, but only the top half.
Right. It's like somebody said, what if we took Impulse's outfit and gave him a jacket from the 90s, but then made it a jacket from the 80s and gave it the big shoulder pads, and let's put this weird collar on it. Let's do that. Like,
and it's very important that we only give him the top half of whatever jacket we come up with.
Yeah, it's like, what is this?
It's like right at his chest. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's not a good look at all.
Hopefully it's like an early idea suit, maybe upgrades a suit, maybe fan reaction will get him an upgrade or a change of suit sooner than later. I don't know. I like that his hair's out. I like that it's Wally. I like that we're not dealing with a Speed Force. I like that Wally's going to be the first Flash. There's no Jay yet. There's no Barry yet. Who knows what version of them or how they'll play in this universe works. I like that his rogues are ever present already. We got Captain Cold in there, Captain Boomerang, looks like potentially the Trickster, Golden Glider. So that's good because, you know, rogues gallery wise, Flash is easily in the top 5 all time. Batman, Spider-Man, Dick Tracy, Flash. Who else got a rogues gallery? You can debate with those. Nobody.
X-Men.
But do they have a rogues gallery? Or do they just have bad guys? You know, like these guys have rogues galleries. What is that? Like now we got to talk about the visor. What's going to happen when you're running fast? and you hit like a thick boy bee, like one of them carpenter bees. You know, crack right into that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all right there because Clayton Crane just knows how to draw, but the shoulder pads are extra right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
super 80s. I just don't get it. That costume is not good.
I mean, he looks like he could definitely be speeding through a Devo music video.
Like, just imagine, go back to the Crane real quick if you could. Just imagine if you keep 100% of the design the exact same way it is, but you just take the jacket, and it's not a jacket, it's just part of the suit design. You know, just the standard like skin tight suit, and it's just got the red up top and no red below. It would look 1,000 times better. Just making the jacket form fitting where it's not a jacket. It's just suit design. Yes, it's super ugly, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah,
the Stanley Just Imagine Flash was cooler looking than this, and she had
That
like
was
an
not a
infinite
good
rainbow
Flash.
ponytail.
Yeah, that was not a good Flash.
Yeah, I mean, that's still better than this. That
Oh,
one with
yeah.
her dad like genetically altered her with a hummingbird,
Like you do.
like you do.
No, this is the only cover.
This is going to be so solid. This is going to be super good.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see.
That's a.
See, I've never been that big on Martian Manhunter. So he's always just been a character that's just kind of there. I could take him or leave him.
I think that's why this could work so well because, you know, he's very established, but you also have more wiggle room with him because he doesn't have like an army of dedicated fans that you change too much or do one step wrong and they're out. You know, you got more wiggle room with characters like that. This is going to be amazing.
Well, if Al Ewing brings the same kind of cosmic horror that he brought to Immortal Hulk, I'm on board.
Yeah, I don't know. Al Ewing's hit or miss. Immortal Hulk was like one of the best Hulk runs in God only knows how long, but Al Ewing also is writing Metamorpho right now, and it's stupid, which broke my heart. Issue one was fine. Like, I like the slapstick Silver Age feel to it. Why did we bring Girl Metamorpho in already and just crowded the book? It's already a crowded story because you have like with Metamorpho, you got like 4 characters that just come locked. You know, Simon Stagg, Sapphire Stagg, Java, and Metamorpho. That's Metamorpho's crew, and then
it's like a Moon Knight book.
Yeah, and then you're adding more stuff to it unnecessarily. And then issue 2 was super stupid. Like almost unreadable. So hopefully we get right back to the story. Looks like they're bringing in oh my god, the immortal caveman who got hit by the meteorite, who's technically the police commissioner in Gotham right now. Vandal Savage.
Yeah. At least with Moon Knight, we have 8-Ball and Soldier.
It's true.
But yeah, I hope Metamorpho picks up. I was excited for that one. I like Metamorpho. I've had my Brave and the Bold 52 for a long time. And then they announced him in a movie. Dude, I'm loving all these DC announcements. I'm like, I'm good. I'm prepared. I'm not going to have to overpay for that. It's already here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might be my favorite comment of the night. That's other than Matt Posey wanting to buy stuff. That's hilarious. Love it. You mentioned earlier, and I'm glad you did, because these were things that were absolute non-starters at my shop. End state or future state in 5G. The whole future state thing couldn't have fallen any flatter unless you dug a hole for it.
What do you mean?
I
mean, nobody wanted it at all. Nobody.
The problem with Future State was it felt like that comic book or that story arc ran for 100 years.
Ran for 2 months.
Yeah, but it just felt like it dragged for so long.
2-issue stories. That was it. I'll tell you. So when DC was at its rockiest time, when that was happening, they just got rid of Dan DiDio. You had them shrinking their staff. They were moving people around. They were trying to talk Jim Lee into taking a president role, which he didn't want. and they canceled the 5G initiative, which nobody wanted. Fans are already complaining that they didn't want to go through an era of comics where we just leave all of our heroes behind and just go to the future versions of all these heroes. They didn't want to do it. But stuff was written, things were in the works, and if they threw everything out, there'd have been a gap. There would have been no comics. They'd have nothing to put on shelves. So they readjust, shift it around, and they do Future State, a 2-month-long initiative where we look at a potential future of DC Comics. It's almost like doing the DC 1 million thing in a sense, how they did that little run of like, look at all these characters a million years from now. But the best thing about it was all the creators over there that were doing it were new stock of creators. Now go back and look at who some of those people were who stepped into comics. Philip Kennedy Johnson, Rom V, Tim Sheridan, Jeremy Adams. The people that everyone chases their stories now were brought in, and that's where they started. And they put both feet in the stories. Go read Future State Swamp Thing. That was Rom V's kickoff. Go read the Future State Robin Eternal 2-issue thing. It's shockingly good. I was not on board for any of that. I was one of the people like, I don't want to do that. I want to keep reading my stories. And I decided the first week they came out to pick some up just because what else am I going to read? And I'm like, wait, why is this this is freaking exciting. You have the Suicide Squad thing that was really cool. I ended up picking up 100% of it. And the only story that I thought was kind of bland and boring was the Supergirl 2-issue story, because you're just sitting in like a garden in their little home, and her just whatever. It wasn't really an action story or even a story really. It had weird painted interior art, but the quality of the actual stories was fantastic, shockingly good. I had to eat crow. I had to pull both feet out of my mouth, and nobody wanted it. No one gave it a try for the most part, but the people that did, pretty much across the board, were shocked. Like, why are they laying down some serious heat right now?
Well, I think part of it, there's two things there for me, I think, that are in play. I think people are not against reading a story like that in addition to their regular stuff. When you cancel my regular book and you replace it with something I don't want, I'm going to hate it, and I'm not going to give it a chance.
People picked up Batman Dark Detective, though.
It did not do well for me. It did not do well for us. People pick up anything with Batman on it.
Yeah. That was the only book with Bruce in it, because the next Batman had Jace in it. The Justice League book had Jace in it. There was a Superman Wonder Woman book with Yara and grown-up John, which was fan-freaking-tastic. Just 2 issues, and it makes you want more of it. But the Justice League book was fantastic because you have like John Kent Superman grown up. You had Yara Flora Wonder Woman, Joe Mullins Green Lantern, Jace Batman, and they come to this. They come to this crime scene, and it really threw you off because they walk in this crime scene, and they look at Batman like, "So what do you think?" He's like, "What do you mean?" Because he's not the detective, it's a different Batman. And Joe comes in, and Joe Mullins is the Far Sector Green Lantern. She is a detective. That's like her shtick. And it was cool just seeing the different team dynamic, and the interactions between Yara and John were awesome. And like the people that were reading it were already like, yo, this could work. This new Wonder Woman can work. This could be like a love interest for John. And then fast forward a couple months and words coming down the pipe. They're about to give John Kent a boyfriend, and he's going to be gay now, and no Yara Flor. And then the Yara Flor book fell off, and they just made some weird decisions with some of their characters. It's like I don't know if they like, it almost looks like you're intentionally tanking your books when you're making so many choices that aren't going to gain you readers back to back.
Yeah. And the other thing is that we had gone through a period in comics where let's get rid of the main character, let's get rid of the Bruce Waynes, let's get rid of the Peter Parkers, let's get rid of the Thor. Let's replace them all with other people.
Yeah, Marvel did it in 2016 with Marvel Now. So why DC thought it was a good idea? You've already seen what happens when you do it. Why would you do that?
It's a terrible idea. People don't want that. People are open to new characters, absolutely open to new characters, but you can't just replace somebody with somebody else and expect that to work. Now there are exceptions to that. There are like generational characters like the Phantom,
Legacy characters.
right. There's Moon Knight, there's
Red,
Iron Fist,
Red Tornado.
like Red Tornado, yeah. There are characters like that, and now they weren't always that way. We found out through the stories that there was a previous incarnation of Iron Fist, that kind of stuff. And those kind of things I'm totally cool with. I love those. The Phantom was always that way, but when you take, and the one that really chapped me was when you take Thor, and that's his name. That's not like a superhero identity. That is his name that his mom gave him when he was born. And now you say you're not Thor anymore. She is. Like, what? That's his freaking name.
No.
Like, no, you don't get to be Batman anymore, Bruce Wayne. You don't even get to be Bruce Wayne. We're going to call you Chuck. Like, what? That just is so irritating. And so this one had a couple of things going on with it. One, it interrupted the regular continuity. It felt like it was forcing replacement characters down your throat. And people have demonstrated time and again they don't want that. And it just fell very, very, very flat. Had they done it as a kind of Marvel did those the end stories, right? Avengers the end, Hulk the end. Mm-hmm. Had they done it in something along those lines of DC 1 million, exactly like you said, something along those lines, people would have been interested. Oh, I want to see how that goes, in a time where it's
didn't have nothing to do with death metal. This was again one of those times where like they had it teed up. They had the story mechanism in place to explain where 5G was going to come from, and it was going to be in their free comic book day 2019 book that was never released. And the only way that you can actually get that book, and it does exist in physical copy, is if you buy the trade paperback for Flash, like volume 17 moving forward, whatever. In the back of it, they decided to just insert that free comic book day in the bonus content. So you can read the TL for 5G. And you got to remember, like, they had going back to like the Dark Side War, where they slow rolled in Dr. Manhattan, that led to John's delays and leaving and coming back and all kinds of weird stuff, but ultimately to Doomsday Clock with Dr. Manhattan existing somewhere in the DC universe. The Flash had been touched by the power of Dr. Manhattan. He was blue, man.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was actually a good issue too.
And with death metal, yeah, that was that with him in the Mobius chair.
I liked that issue.
Yeah, that was going to lead us into the 5G stuff. So we have a bunch of dropped plot lines that were started up, but it's kind of sad that we didn't get it, to be honest with you, because it would have only been temporarily, opposed to like the Marvel Now thing going all full steam ahead. And I wanted that Dr. Manhattan stuff. I wanted it so bad. But
what did you think about Doomsday Clock?
I freaking loved it.
See, to me, I thought the ending was disappointing.
Oh, I love the ending. I don't know what, like, have you read Watchmen?
Yeah. But I mean,
think of the style of story that we're dealing with here. When the whole concept of Dr. Manhattan discovering and figuring out what this place he is in is finally about, and Superman being at the center of it, and the selfless act of Superman, like finding his humanity up, and it was all there. It was what I wanted out of it. I know a lot of people were upset because they thought they were teeing up a fight against Dr. Manhattan and Superman.
That's what I thought.
That's not a thing. Wait, what does a fight between Dr. Manhattan and Superman look like? Just Dr. Manhattan to go and win the fight? That's what would happen. He would just make a face and the fight's over.
Yeah.
You can't fight Dr. Manhattan. That's literally not a thing. Can't do it.
I mean, I see your point, but I was still wanting a fight.
The dude literally created an entire universe called the New 52 because he was bored.
at least some type of little skirmish, arm wrestling, something. They could have given me a little bit of something.
You can arm wrestle Dr. Manhattan. You can win or lose, whichever he decides in the moment he wants you to do.
And that's fine. At least there for a moment, I'll feel like I'm in the game.
Oh man, it was so much better than you remember when the entire Justice League went to Mars to go face Dr. Manhattan.
Mm-mm.
All of them. They went there. They showed up and Dr. Manhattan saw him and put his hand out and then they were gone instantly. Like you can't stop him.
Real quick, Matt, I did order those. They were available from Diamond, but we'll see.
So
We'll see if that means anything.
who made them?
I don't remember.
Hmm.
That was a request from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but I thought, man, I thought it was flawless in that sense because I
you
never
talk about a book
expected
where
fight.
the ending jacked people up, right? Was Batman 3 Jokers.
Oh, that was the best. Which one?
Well,
Who was the Joker? Which
but-
one?
But the ending of book number 3,
Oh, I didn't like 3 Jokers at all.
that book ticked a lot of people off, and they wanted to see a big fight at the end, and that's not how it ended. I thought the ending was pretty great. I liked it. It was kind of a quiet ending, but I liked it.
So this is where like the Charlie with the yarn board messes me up. 3 Jokers was never intended to be this little direct street level Batman fighting the Joker and these two villains that he doused with Joker poison back in the day, and now everyone's confused who's the real one. That's never what it was. Batman sat in the Mobius chair in the New 52 universe and said, "Who is the Joker?" And the Mobius chair said, "Which one?" We found out through Batman or through DC Comics Rebirth one shot that there's 3 of them. At that time, how many resets have happened in the DC universe? You had Crisis on Infinite Earths, where all the worlds were smashed down into just that one world. So you had before and after Crisis, and then you had the New 52. So what it was looking like Johns was doing was teeing up for Joker to be an anomaly inside of the universe. But because all the shifting and changing and the behind the scenes bullcrap, it was a story that got abandoned and people kept asking about and wanting about. So we just got him and Jason Fabok just to do something instead of nothing, and they gave us that. And we'll get Jason Todd in here since Joker killed him. We'll get Barbara in here since Joker shot her, and that'll be 3 Bat characters, 3 Jokers, and we can tell a story and we can make a shit ton of money. And that's what they did. It was a fine story. The art was great, but the people that have been reading this stuff since the Dark Side War and had our minds freaking blown, we didn't get a payoff. No, we didn't get nothing.
Well, us casual folks enjoyed it. Now, speaking of Crisis, is this in fact the first DC Crisis?
That is in fact the first Crisis on multiple Earths. That's where they that's technically Flash of 2 Worlds, Flash 123 isn't the first Crisis, but that's where you first get the 2 different worlds coming together for the first time, and then that's actually the first Silver Age appearance of a couple of characters as well. But it is in fact where Crisis on 2 Earths starts.
I tell you, Matt, you're not alone on that. New 52 put a severe hurting on my comic book shop.
In what way?
In that people who had been reading DC Comics for 40 years quit.
Wow.
They said, "This is it. I'm done." And they walked away from comics. I lost several, and I'm talking like my biggest customers. They're like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I can't read this anymore. I can't read this. This is just garbage, and I can't read it anymore." I lost several. At a comic shop, you got those big customers, the whales.
Mm-hmm.
I lost 3 of them because of New 52. They couldn't stand it. They gave up. They gave up on comics entirely.
That's crazy for them to go in like that. What's the greatest Batman run the last 30 years? 40 years. I'll give it 40 years. No, yeah, I'll give it 40 years because that excludes Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams So that's off the table. Since Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, the Joker's Wild, and really created Batman as a Dark Knight after the silly Silver Age, what's the greatest Batman run? Unanimously, across the board, everyone will say the same thing.
I doubt
Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's New 52 Batman with the Court of Owls and all that across the board.
I don't think everybody across the board would say that, because I sure wouldn't say that.
There's always exceptions to the rules. You're allowed to be wrong. It's not saying it's my favorite, but across the board, God, I can't think of
Court of Owls. Court of Owls was great. Don't get me wrong. I think that was a great addition to the Batman mythos.
That went for a while too. That was like a 50 issue.
Yeah.
Run,
So
right?
what is it they had? Okay, like I enjoyed Batman New 52.
But you know what they did with Batman? They're like, we're resetting the entire DC Comics, everyone from except Batman.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed.
They didn't reset Batman really.
I loved Red Hood and the Outlaws New 52. Maybe I might be the minority on that one.
Earth 2 was amazing, by the way. I don't know if y'all have ever took the time to read it. I dare you to read the first story arc alone. I dare you.
Green Lantern New 52 was great.
Amazing. Jeff Johns era.
So I don't understand why. I mean, I understand people didn't like it, but I don't understand why they hated it so much they walked away cleanly. Because there's been far worse.
Justice League was amazing.
I can't remember if I was reading Justice League at that time.
Dude, Justice League was so freaking good. But also you got to remember there was countless freaking titles, and a lot of people, especially in those days, love to keep up with the universe. Like nowadays, you see a lot of people that character chase. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there. The universes are kind of like kind of wonky, you know. But in those days, people loved keeping up with the universe, and they made it almost impossible.
Yeah.
With what they were doing with their continuity. They wanted 52 titles. You'd have stuff start, then stop, and start, then stop, delayed. Yeah, that weird relationship between Superman and Action Comics where they were trying to do action simultaneously as Superman, but it'd be his early days, and then there was continuity issues, and the writers were trying to communicate back and forth. Or what characters can I use? Did he ever meet this one? And they couldn't get on good standing. And a lot of people didn't like the Superwoman relationship. And there are certain key things to it that people just didn't enjoy.
What about Court of Owls, Matt?
I think he was just naming the best Batman story.
This time period for Batman, I loved.
Yeah, that's 90s. A lot of people. How long have you been running a shop?
No Man's Land, all of that stuff. I loved this time period.
How long have you been running a shop?
I was running a shop from 93 to 95.
So you had it through No Man's Land.
And then we opened my shop in 2001.
So you might be aware, people did not. It wasn't a warm reception for No Man's Land at the time. It felt overkill for everybody.
It was too big, right? Yeah, There was too much to it. But the way that they built,
when you look back on it, it's fire.
But the way that they built from Contagion before that, and then into No Man's Land, everything built, and it all worked. And it was really, really good. This book is freaking enormous. I mean, look at that.
Mm-hmm. You got Cassandra Cain out of it too.
Yeah. But that era of Batman. I love Norm Brayfogle when he was on Detective. That was just a phenomenal era of Batman.
Christopher Nolan clearly liked it.
That's true.
Because it definitely, you'd see tons of influences in the Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But New 52, we lost 6 of our big subscribers, and 3 of those were our really, really big subscribers who just quit comics altogether. And I was shocked. I was disappointed, but everybody hated it here.
See, to me, it comes across as they were looking for an excuse to quit reading comic books.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Maybe one of them, but for 6 people and 3 of them to be the really big ones, I don't think so.
Did all they pull was DC?
Yep. They were all DC readers.
Sound like me.
Except you didn't give up.
No, I read a lot of other stuff too, though.
Are you reading any of the G.I. Joe books?
Mm-hmm. I'm reading Energon.
Okay.
I'm 100% in on Energon.
Um,
I'm not reading Real American Hero, so read Cobra Commander, Scarlet, Destro, and now I'm on G.I. Joe, but I'm not reading Real American Heroes. I picked up 301 when they first switched over to Skybound, and I'm like, that seemed cool. It was a finale to a story arc for an opening issue. That was pretty tough, but I'm not reading this.
I've been reading G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, since forever.
Yeah, there's just too much. I'm a psychopath. If I start reading that, I have to go back and read the other 300 issues, and I just know I don't have time. So I'll be
now you have those lovely omnibuses that you can go in and dig into, brother. Those are beautiful.
I'm not a fan of omnibuses. I own one, and I just got it because it's the amalgam one, and I wanted the alternate endings in it.
Yes,
I love amalgam. It's some of my favorite stuff from my childhood, and I got that, and I got a killer deal on it. I paid like $50 for it.
That's not bad at all.
No,
that's
it's
amazing.
Not bad at all. That's like $100 off. I'm very happy with it.
That's cheaper than the stores can buy it.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, I had a small gift card that someone gave me for Christmas to the shop, so that helped a little bit with it. But I get good prices on stuff at the shop. They take care of me.
As they should.
The omnibus experience for me is not fun at all. I don't want to have to stretch, like scented candles, oil up just to read a book. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm with you. This is the only one I've ever purchased for myself outside of the G.I. Joe one. Was this one, and it's difficult to read. I don't know. I'm conditioned to read a story.
Yeah, you're conditioned to hold a book, not set it down on something.
Right, because this is so freaking heavy. This isn't something you can just sit and peruse.
Yo, I did a video on getting my amalgam one, and man, there was a good handful of people in the comments that are like, "You're handling that wrong. You need to work the spine out. You're going to break it." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But apparently, when you get an omnibus, you're supposed to do something, go through and warm the spine up so that it doesn't end up falling apart on you halfway through reading it. Because apparently, due to the weight and the way it's glued and bound, those pages will pop off the spine.
Wow.
So
that's good to know.
So you need to just like YouTube breaking in an omnibus. Apparently, there's numerous videos out there, people talking about it. Because I would hate to have gotten like a book that costs that much money and just try to enjoy reading a book and chunks of pages
fall apart on you. Yeah, no, that would chap me pretty hard.
Yeah.
No.
With the G.I. Joe ones, did you go G.I. Joe or Cobra for yours?
You know, I
G.I. Joe.
I'm so angry at Skybound because they were so smart.
Yeah, right? Did you get both?
I did not.
Oh,
because
man.
My wife would murder me.
What was like $300, right, for the
$350 because they had the shipping on top, and it was shipping per every single thing you ordered. There was no combined shipping for ordering a bunch of these. So yeah, I could not justify $700.
Nobody can.
I couldn't do. Well, a lot of people did, but I couldn't. So I went with G.I. Joe, and only a small part of me regrets that I didn't do both. But there definitely is a part of me that regrets I didn't do both.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And other than that, I've got one other omnibus, but I did not buy that omnibus myself. Someone else purchased that as a gift, and it's the Daredevil omnibus that's set up at the shop. And I'm just not big on omnibuses. I mean, they look beautiful, they display beautifully, but I want a comic book in my hands.
Yeah, I don't use them enough, you know.
Yep, I agree. Well, man, it's been awesome having you on. I love talking DC Comics with you because I feel like I learn something every time I do.
I can talk other stuff too.
You always tell me things that I need to read, so that's helpful too. But yeah, anytime you want to talk anything at all, you got a standing invite, man. You come on here anytime you got a free Thursday and you just want to talk comics. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me. About to go put these kids to bed, Mel.
Understand. Well, you have a great night, man. It's
Y'all
good to
too,
see
man.
you.
I'll take it easy.
Thank you,
See ya.
sir. Appreciate it, brother.
Bye.
Alan, the one last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up. I don't know if you follow Jamie Sullivan a whole lot, the comic book artist. We had him on. He's the one that did this.
Yeah, I watched that video that he released last night.
That's break your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, he's a comic book artist, gaming artist, and he's been dealing with diabetes for years. And we're not sharing anything out of school. He's published all of this pretty broadly. Has had an issue with his foot, and he's had several surgeries, and he's had a cast and all this kind of stuff. There are things they can do that they think would save his foot, and insurance is saying no, we won't cover any of that stuff. We'll cover chopping it off though, and that's a really hard thing to deal with. And you came in with that foot, you want to keep that foot if you can, and to know that there are options that would help him to do that, but that may not be possible because of the finances. Yeah, Jamie Sullivan. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, to know that that's the insurance may make it not feasible that you can keep your foot when that possibility is there is heartbreaking. And they've been dealing with that for months and months, and that's not cheap. And comic book artists and writers, they've got a lot of things, but they don't have great insurance typically. And our system's just not set up to take great care of those folks. So you take all that stuff, and then you combine that with he lives in California, and they rent a house. They've lived in that house for 9 years, and the owner told him just the other day, "Oh, hey, I'm sending some people over to take pictures of the house on Sunday because I'm selling it."
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be without a house. They're going to be homeless with no notice, no nothing. So they're just in a real bind and dealing with a lot. And we like to take care of our own. We like to take care of comic book folks. We like to do what we can to help people out. So I'm trying to think up a way to do some kind of a fundraiser, something where we can help them out financially a little bit with whatever we can do. Now I've got, and I don't have it handy here, I would show it. I've got a really big poster sized piece of original art. It's a replica of the cover for Action Force. I want to say number 42 or number 37 with Destro on it. It's huge. I have that I bought from him. And I also have this custom Destro number 1 cover that he did for me. And I think I'm going to do a raffle up at the shop and raffle these off and hope that we make enough money to help make a little bit of a difference for him.
I know he's got, hang on a minute. I'm just going to do this right.
He has a GoFundMe. So yeah, we'll do a little raffle at Haven and see what kind of money we can raise to help them out.
Because I mean, y'all keep in mind these artists, they don't have benefits. They really don't.
Yeah, they have to self-purchase them because they don't get them from like a company that they work for. I haven't determined that yet, Matt. We'll sell tickets for probably $5 or $10, something like that. It'll probably $10. It'll have to be something meaningful, so that we can raise enough money pretty quickly. Uh, yeah, at any time, Mike, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. But just wanted to let you know we're going to do something like that, and we're going to publish that out there. And anything that we raise is going to go straight to him, 100%, to help him out.
Well, I just tried to post the link to the GoFundMe page. But
yeah, it just posted.
Yeah, well, it kind of started cutting stuff off.
Oh, did it split it up? I see.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do this. If y'all will actually go to his Instagram page there, and I'm gonna post the link to his Instagram page instead. There is a link to his GoFundMe there, and there is also a link to his website. I don't know how much is still left on his website, but I mean that's also another way to support is to go buy some of his art.
Oh yeah, and he was selling some stuff the other day in a Facebook sale too.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, he's selling his personal collection of comics and things that he's gotten over the years, and I know that's hard for him too because he's selling things that are meaningful to him. So yeah, he's not like he's just saying, "Hey, people, send me stuff." He actually, it's a very difficult thing for a man or for anybody to say, "Hey, I need help," and to ask strangers for money. It's just difficult, and they're in a really, really tough spot. So, if you can help, feel free, go donate directly to his GoFundMe. If you want to participate in the raffle, if you want to do both, that's great. But I'm getting the stuff ready to set up for the raffle, and we're probably going to try and run that starting this weekend. So really appreciate you guys hanging out and being on the lookout. Look out on our Facebook page. We'll post details about it, and that will be coming. But I just wanted to let you guys all know that that was coming and why. And it's for a really good dude, and I'd like to be able to help him out if we can. Anything else you can think of before we let folks go? We've been on for a little bit.
No, I think that's solid. Y'all read more comic books. Go to the shop, buy stuff. Matt Posey, I'll make sure Josh gets all that stuff ordered for you just as quick as we get off the internet.
Yep, sure enough. And yeah,
hey, I like spending your money, Matt.
And the tribute to Alex and Monsters #3, just really appreciative to Mark for doing that. Alex, we miss you, brother. But anyway, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Y'all have a great night. Read more comics. Come ready to talk about them next week, and we'll get into it. So till then, thank you guys very, very much. It is always a pleasure. Good talking with you.